Hey friends, and happy Thursday. In today's video, I am walking you through how to make this super cute Valentine's Day mailbox exploding box. It's kind of a whole mouthful, but basically it looks like a mailbox and it stands up on its own, but whenever you take the lid off, it explodes into some crafty goodness and you can decorate all the pages. It's kind of like a mini album in a way because you can use pictures or you could just decorate it and send it to a pen pal, however you prefer. And yeah, it's super fun. I plan on giving this to my boyfriends for Valentine's Day, as well as some concert tickets on the inside, so it's kind of going to harbor those in here. So I'm super excited and I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. I did get inspiration from this tutorial from May Made It, and she is on YouTube. I'm going to link her down below because her tutorial is so thorough and she did such a good job explaining everything. So basically all I did was just change a few things. I decorated a little bit different, but the whole basis of this tutorial was based on that. So I'm going to link her video down below. She also has a blog post that shows you all of the dimensions for everything and the measurements. So you don't even have to watch a video if you want to know how to make it. Or you can watch this and then reference that to have whenever you make it on your own. So yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy watching and definitely show her some love because she is like a paper wizard. Everything that she makes is just so cool. And yeah, so if you want to know how to make this, then just stay tuned and keep watching. Okay, so I did get ahead of myself just a little bit, but hopefully I can walk you guys through this. So what you're going to need for the base is a 5x5 piece of chipboard. So this, I get my chipboard like in scrapbook orders, or like whenever a pen pal send me stuff, if they back something with chipboard, then I just reuse it. You can also use a cereal box or like a granola bar box, just whatever you have, just anything that's sturdy and will hold up well. So like I said, the base is 5x5 and I did cut it out with my just regular trimmer. You do one side and then you flip it over and do the other side to make sure that the chipboard has clean edges. And then to score it, you just cut on one side. And I did a 1/2 inch on all sides. So I just measured it out, scored it on all sides, and then folded it. You will cut out just a little square that's here. There's going to be a piece that meets right here on the corner. Just cut off that little corner piece because you don't need it. It's kind of similar to making a box. So that's what it looks like. And then for the legs of the mailbox, you're going to need 4 pieces. And this is 1 inch by 2 inches. And then you score at 1/2 inch. So I'll show you really quickly just how I score. My cutting board is super old, you guys. Like, this is a hand-me-down cutting board, so if it works on the chipboard that I have and on the cutting board that I use, then it will definitely work for yours as well. So all you do is just line it up. Mine has little marks here for half, so I just put it in there and then I hold it really tight right here. I push down and then I just put my mark through it, and then you just fold it. So that way this will be the leg and it will keep it standing up. So that's how you do that. And then now we're going to assemble the bottom. So in the video that I watched, she used wet glue, but I'm just going to use hot glue because I find that that is the most sturdy, and I also don't have like a good brand of wet glue. So if you guys know any that are really good and you have any recommendations, then make sure to leave a comment down below because I will be sure to check that out. But for today, I'm just going to be using hot glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the side that is the most flat. They should both be flat, but as you can see here, there is just like a little bit of a overlap here from the paper being cut. I could trim that down very easily, but this side's already flat, so I'm going to make sure that this one is on the bottom, and I'm going to put glue on both sides just like that. I'm going to keep this piece of paper together, fold this in, and push it down. And I find that this doing it this way kind of holds everything together and makes sure that the base is very sturdy. And then I'll add on more paper after we're done to the sides, that way to make sure that they are a good color and match everything. I don't color the legs. If you wanted to, if you have like colored chipboard, then that would work super great for this, but I find that the legs being this craft color doesn't really bother me, and it's not really a huge attention drawer. if that makes sense. But you could also paint chipboard, and I think that would be super cute, and that would be a good option if you don't have any colored chipboard. But like I said, it's really not that noticeable once everything is done. So I'm going to speed through this process really quick, and I will be right back once this part is done. Okay, so that part is now finished, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, the way that we put the glue onto the actual legs of the mailbox holds it together, and it's very sturdy, so whenever it sets down, it doesn't wobble, it doesn't move or anything. And just to show you up close what that kind of looks like, so that way you can see, make sure you're doing it correctly. And yeah, like I said, you could definitely decorate this part, like the legs anyways. You could paint it, you can use a paper to put on top of it. And I will show you a little bit more later how I decorate the bottom of this. So we're going to move on now to making the actual exploding box part. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need a 12 by 12 piece of paper. I have this double-sided paper from Felicity Jane that I'm going to use. You want to make sure that whenever you do this part, you do want to have a double-sided paper. You want the color or the pattern that you want on the actual mailbox on the outside. So the structure of the mailbox, make sure that that one is going to be the one facing down when you score, okay? So this is going to be, this side right here is going to be the inside of the exploding mailbox. So we're going to go ahead and score it, and I'm going to be right back to get my scoreboard. Okay, so I have my scoreboard out, and you'll have to forgive me. My scoreboard is like really old, so there's all kinds of like hot glue on here. So we're just going to work with what I have today. So in order to make the exploding box part, you're going to score at 4 and at 8. And you're going to do this again once you turn it around. So now you're going to turn those score lines horizontal, so this way, and you're going to score again at 4 and at 8. Okay. And then you just want to take a minute to fold everything and make sure that everything is straight and even, lining up good. Okay. And then we're going to score the next piece, and for the next piece, you're going to need a 10.5 by 10.5 piece of paper. So I'm going to use this paper. This is also a Felicity Jane paper. And remember, so the side that you have facing down is going to be the side that is closest to this one. And then the side face up is where you're going to be like putting a lot of decorations. It's going to be the first color that you see whenever you open the actual box. So I'm going to have this color facing up just because I feel like with the blue it'll look great, and this side will be underneath and kind of act as like a shadow. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. This is a 12 by 12, so I'm going to cut it to 10.5 by 10.5 really quick. Okay, so once that is trimmed, now we're going to score it, and we're going to do very similar to the other paper. We're going to do 3.5 by 7. And then we're going to turn it horizontal and do the same thing again. So 3.5 and 7. And once again, we're just going to fold everything and make sure that it looks good. And then we're going to move on to cutting these so that way they can actually fold into each other. So make sure everything looks good. So you fold it. You can even use like, if you have like a folding tool, you can use that, or you can just use your scoreboard or your score buddy. Just make sure all those lines are crisp. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and now we're going to do the cutting. which you'll just need scissors for. You don't have to use a cutting board. So make sure this is folded too. So let's start with the 12 by 12 piece. And now you're going to open it up, and at every right corner, and this might be left on your screen, so make sure that whenever you do it, you're looking at the right corner, and you're going to look at the left side, so right here, and you're going to cut at an angle to where that score line meets. It's very similar to making a box, so this will fold into each other like that. Okay, and now you're going to turn it and do the same thing again, and you're going to do this on all the sides. So I'm going to speed it up just a little bit here so that way you can see without it taking too long. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to place the first box inside of the second box inside of the first one, and make sure that everything looks clean before you do this. So I am just going to trim this a little bit. Make sure all these lines are straight and even. Sometimes whenever you cut, it can get kind of jagged, so just kind of going through and fixing that before we glue everything down. So once again, I'm going to use hot glue for this just because it's the most sturdy glue that I have and the best way that I adhere things together. So I'm going to put this in the middle of this paper and line it up, and there's going to be about a 1/4 inch of room on the side after you put the box in the middle, so that way they can fold into each other. And I would recommend folding the box in when you do this, just so that way everything, you can actually see where you're putting it. And then pressing that down. Okay, so that is nice and even and very sturdy on there. Nothing is going to fall off. If you want to, you can just try to peel up the edges, see if any of the edges need more glue. So that looks good, and then this is what it's going to look like. I'm just going to do this kind of loosely so that way you can see. There's multiple different ways you could do this. You could fold in all the sides together or fold them on top of each other, kind of like this. And then that's what it looks like, and then whenever you open it, it all comes out. So now we're going to make the actual lid. So this part, even though it's the exploding part, this is also the base of the mailbox. So this is what sits on top of what we made earlier. Okay, so this is like the structure. So now we're going to make the lid for the box. And in order to do this, you need a 6x6 piece of paper. So really quick, I'm going to grab a 6x6 piece of paper, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I am back with a 6x6 piece of paper, and I was kind of unprepared. I didn't know what kind of pattern that I wanted to use. So this will be a part that will show on the outside of the box, so make sure that whatever pattern you pick, it ties into this color. So I really like the pop of red, so I'm going to go with this one. So once you have your 6x6 piece of paper, basically what you're going to be doing is scoring 1 inch at all sides. So you're going to start with 1 and do your 1 inch, and then over here you're going to do 5. So that way it just kind of saves you some time doing both at the same time. And then once again, turn it horizontal and then do the same thing. You're going to cut the right corner on each side and that left side, so the inside score line. So we're just going to cut that, and I'm going to cut a little piece off, kind of like how she did in the video, just so that way it can give you some room to make your folds. So, oops, I almost cut that wrong. So you're turning it and then cutting it on this side, then cutting it a little bit on this side too, just so that way we can have some extra room. So I also forgot to mention this, but make sure whenever you do the cutting, you do it on the white side of the paper, so that way once you fold it, this is the side that shows. And now we're just going to take each one of these square flaps, and we're going to fold them in and glue them down. So once again, I'm just going to use some hot glue for this. So now we're going to make the actual part that makes it look like a mailbox, so what folds over. This part is super easy, so all you're going to need is a 4.5 piece of, or sorry, 4-inch piece of paper by 8.5. Sorry, I'm not used to doing like live videos like this. I'm very used to doing voiceovers, so you will have to forgive me. I'm not used to this. So I have this already cut to, I think this is 4.5. So I'm gonna cut it to 4 and then 8.5. And remember that this part is going to be showing on the outside of the box, so you do want to pick a pattern or a color that will match everything that you already have on there. So I'm also going to be saving this pieces for later to decorate the outside. So now that you have this, you don't need to do any sort of scoring on it. I am just going to take my bone folder and then fold this over it, kind of like that, and that's just to give it some curve. You can also just use the side of your desk to kind of give it some curve, and that way it will make the shape that you want it to. So now we're going to put this on the outside of the box just like that, and I'm going to start with just gluing this side, and then I'm going to glue the other one. So using my trusty hot glue, just going to put that on the outside. And pressing that to make sure it adheres. And then we're going to do it on this side. And it doesn't really matter if you do it on like the right side or the left side, the top or the bottom, because the lid is a square, so it will fit no matter what, if you already didn't know that. Okay, so gluing that part on, and because I use hot glue, it does give me just a little bit of time to move it if I need to. So that's what the lid looks like. And this is how it will fit onto the exploding box and hold it all in. So if you want to, you could definitely add some stitching or like a shaker to this like I did in my last video, but this is for my boyfriend and I really don't think that he's gonna care that much about the actual structure of it and like what it looks like, so I'm just keeping it simple. So this is what it looks like so far, and now we're going to go back to the base and kind of start from the beginning and start assembling everything on top of each other. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on this just to make sure that it fits well before we glue this down. You can make any last minute changes if needed. Okay, so this is what it is looking like now. Hopefully I am in frame. Sorry guys if I was not. So this is what it is looking like once you get the actual lid onto the box, and this is going to be the side that we decorate to make it look like a mailbox. So now we're going to glue this onto the structure, and I just think that it's easier to do with the lid on first, so that way you don't mess up the base or anything. So now really quick, I'm just going to glue this down. Okay, so this is where we are now. So now I'm just going to make it look more like a mailbox. So I'm going to decorate the bottom, and what I'm going to use for that is just this scrap piece of paper. I'm going to cut about probably 1 inch off of this and try to get 4 sides out of it. Hopefully I can. If not, I do have this in a 6x6 paper pad as well. So I will be right back and I will show you what I do with that. Okay, so I am back now, and all of these pieces are sewed on or stitched, and they are scalloped at the bottom. So now we're just going to glue these onto the mailbox. Now whenever you do this, I do want to mention, don't glue it onto the actual box. Make sure you're gluing it onto the actual legs, because if you glue it onto the box and whenever you try to open it all the way, it's not going to open, because this is going to prevent this from moving. So if you do this, just make sure that you cut the piece big enough or small enough, however long you want it, to fit here and not up there. So I'm going to glue that on, and I'm just going to speed up this process for you so that way it's not super boring. Okay, so we have the scalloped edges done, and I did forget to mention that these pieces are 4.5 inches wide, so across, and then I did 1.5 inch for each piece. But because I did use the scissors, they're probably going to be more like 1.25 inches instead of 1.5 inches, or maybe even a little bit less than that. They're not all completely even. So now I'm going to decorate this, and in the video that I watched, she did a few things to customize it to make it look more like a mailbox. So I'm going to kind of do that in a way, but kind of put my own spin on it a little bit, so that way it's still really cute and not too girly. It will be girly, but not too girly. So I figured it would be easier just to come on and show you guys how this turned out rather than to walk you through the whole process, just because everybody decorates things differently, and this is just how I personally chose to decorate it. You could definitely change it up. So this is the front side or the back side. They're both pretty similar, so it doesn't really matter. But this one says Happy Heart Day, and I have popped it up on 2 layers of dimensional foam, and then put these little stamps. I cut these out, and I'm sorry, I don't know where the stamp is from. I think I might have got it from a pen pal, but you can also just draw this image of an envelope or print it and then have it look like they're going into the slot. That's kind of what gives it the mailbox feel. I also added some trim at the very top, just so that way there was like a clear distinction between the part where you put the envelopes in. Then on the back, like I said, this is for a guy, so I tried to keep it somewhat masculine. I just put the date on these stickers from the La La Love collection, and then I have some envelopes going into the dimensional part behind it. And then on the background I added some tulle, just so that way there's some extra dimension and some extra texture. And then I probably will go in later and add some trim here if I feel like it's necessary after everything is decorated. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy how this turned out, and I hope that you feel inspired to make your own little mailbox. It turned out super cute, and I feel like it's such a good gift for a pen pal or your partner or whoever. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so that way you get notified whenever I post a new video. And if you want to see how I decorate the inside of this box, stay tuned for tomorrow, where I upload part 2 of the actual decorating process. It's going to be very similar to a mini album with lots of pictures and decorating. So yeah, make sure to come back for that tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.